am Chef Vernetta, and today we are going to make a shrimp stir-fry vegetable. So we're going to do shrimp and a lot of fresh vegetables. You can also do chicken if you like. If you don't eat shrimp or if you're allergic to shrimp, you can use chicken or you can do beef, but today we're going to use shrimp. So I'm going to start off by showing you all some of my ingredients. So we have our fresh shrimp, if you all can see. So we have a pound of fresh shrimp that have been peeled and deveined, and we got the large size. You can get large, medium, or jumbo, but we have the large size today. And then we have our nice veggies. So if you all can take a look, I'm going to continue to spin it around to just show you everything, all the different colors that we have. We have squash, zucchini, cauliflower, carrots, broccoli, shallots, garlic, and then sweet pepper. So all of this is going to go into our stir fry. I hope you can see these veggies really good because I'm loving the color. So I'm going to make sure I have pictures in there too so you can see it a little bit better. And then we have our sesame oil, which we're going to use. So we have sesame oil that we're going to use inside of our stir fry. We also have a low sodium soy sauce. So we want to do low sodium as much as possible when we're trying to be healthy, heart health, to lower our blood pressure. We definitely want to make sure that we get low sodium. And then we have a little bit of honey that we're going to add to it. I prefer to use honey instead of sugar. It is still a sweetener. So for those that are following a low carb diet or a low sugar diet, you want to make sure that if you're using a sweetener, that you're not using a lot of it. Measurements are the key to everything. So in honey, this one has 17 grams of carbs. And out of those 17 grams of carbs, 17 grams of it is sugar. So I know a lot of times people think, oh, I'm using honey and it's not sugar. It is still a sweetener. It still has sugar in it. So you just want to be mindful of how you use it because you don't want to use too much sugar if you are following a low sugar, low carb diet. So what I'm going to start out with is our vegetables. So all of our vegetables have been washed and cleaned. And so the good thing about this dish is that you can actually peel and devein your shrimp the day before. You can do your vegetables the day before as well and kind of put them in a container like I have it so that once you get ready to cook, you're pretty much ready to go. So I am going to start out by cutting everything. My broccoli is already off of the head because I bought it packaged where it was already peeled. I got the florets. So the broccoli is already done. The cauliflower is already done. And then I got the carrots that were already cut as well. But I'm going to cut these a little bit more too, just to kind of make them a little bit smaller, a little bit more bite size. So I'm going to start with my pepper. So I have my pepper here. So I am going to go down the top of the pepper. So I always go down the top and I take the top off. So we got a little seed that fell. And then I'm going to take the bottom off. And then if you all can see, let me go back a little bit more. There we go. So if you all can see, I'm going to go ahead and just go down here. And a lot of times in stir fry, the pepper is left kind of whole, or not whole, cut into slices. But for me, I like to actually kind of dice the pepper up because in this dish, for me, the pepper is more of seasoning versus we want to have the big flavors in it. Now, if you really love pepper, you can actually leave your pepper whole. You can slice it. You don't have to dice it up. But we've cut our pepper, as you can see. We took the skin off and I'm sorry, not the skin off. We left the skin on, but we took the rib out. So we took that white piece out of the pepper. And we're going to go ahead and, like I said, dice that up. And this is more so for flavoring, aromatics. You know, sometimes when you cook and you're doing you're doing like garlic and onion and all of that stuff, and it gives your food this really good flavor. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to just dice it, and I'm just going to do a rough dice on it. I don't have to get super fancy. So if you can see, I've diced it. Made nice dice in the pepper. Have that here. So I'm going to put everything back inside of our container because we're going to move this container over to the stove when we get ready to stir fry everything. Now we have our red pepper. Red pepper. Going to do the same thing. Go down the top, the side, and the bottom. And you don't want to use a lot of it because, like I said, it's just for flavoring. So I'm going to take that rib out. And when I say the rib, it's the white piece that's inside of the pepper. You want to go ahead and get that out, and then you have a clean inside. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a dice. Same thing, just chop it, slice it, and give it a nice little dice on it. Put it in my hand so y'all can see. So we have a little bit of dice on the pepper. And then we're just going to kind of move everything on the side of our cutting board that we are not using. And then I have a shallot. So a shallot is an onion, but a shallot has a milder taste than an actual white onion. It still has give you that onion flavor or that onion taste, but it's a little bit milder. And the thing about the shallots for me is that they're small. So if you're not making a lot, you know, sometimes you have that great big onion and you have so much of it left over. But with the shallot, you don't have all of that left over. You have a nice little small piece. And another thing is onions are very naturally sweet. They have a lot of natural sugar in it. So if you ever heard the term, let me caramelize the onion, onions will caramelize really easily because they have a lot of sugar. So going back to if you are following a low sugar diet or a low carb diet, you know, be mindful of the onions as well because they do have a lot of sugar in them. So I'm going to go ahead and just rough chop that as well. And I personally love onion, but I'm not going to add a lot of onion to this. If you like onion, you can. But we're definitely going to cook it down so that it'll have a very mild onion flavor to it. And like I said, the shallot is very mild itself. We have garlic. So the garlic has already been peeled and we've got it ready to go. And I'm going to do 3 cloves of garlic. I know that sounds like a lot, but garlic is essential in stir fry. And garlic is really good for you. It's good for inflammation in the body. It's good for blood. It thins your blood, kind of keeps your blood flowing really well. It's good for like cold and anti-inflammatory properties. So we definitely want to add garlic to our food. And because we're cooking the garlic, it's gonna kill the taste of it being so strong. So it won't be like that raw garlic bitter taste. You're gonna kind of cook it. And with that, I've rough cut it, but I'm gonna kind of dice it a little bit finer. So I'm just gonna take my knife, and I'll tell you all, if you're watching this and you're a home chef and not a professional chef, don't feel intimidated or by my cutting. Definitely cut what's comfortable for you. I've been in the kitchen a long time, so I'm kind of rough with the way I cut. And so if you are, like I said, if you are new to the kitchen or not really comfortable, use a garlic press. You don't have to actually use your knife. You can definitely use a garlic press. So we have all of our garlic. This is a nice good bit of garlic that we have. And so we're going to just add that to our dish as well. And then now we have ginger. So ginger is another good ingredient. Ginger is good for inflammation in the body. It's good for sore throats and colds. So we're going to add this to our dish as well. And the best way to clean garlic is what we'll do is And you can use a regular spoon. I actually just have a plastic spoon. And ginger, if you see the ginger, it has the skin on it. So the best way to get the skin off of the ginger is just to scrape it off. And like I said, I'm using a plastic spoon, but you are able to use a real spoon if you like. And instead of trying to cut it, if you look, it's just peeling. We just peel that skin right off of the ginger. I love to make ginger tea. So I get fresh ginger root, and this is a fresh ginger root. You can also use ginger powder. In the store, they have ginger paste. You can use that as well. I like the fresh ginger root, and like I said, I make tea with it also. So what I do with the ginger root tea is I just get the root, I peel it like so. And then now I have all the skin off of it, and then I just add it to water, and then I boil it on the stove. And so maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and it's a nice, it has a spicy bite to it. So if you like a little spicy bite, then you would actually really like the ginger tea. Go ahead and cut that up as well. And ginger's a little bit tougher, kind of fibrous, so it's a little bit harder to cut. Not hard, but it is a little bit harder to cut than actual garlic. So what I'm doing is just kind of giving it a little rough slice, and then I'm going to dice it like I did the garlic as well. Just chop it up. Add all of this goodness to our stir fry. And when I put everything inside my container, I put the shallots, the peppers, the ginger, and the garlic together, because all of that is going to go into our pan first. And then we'll start to add our vegetables. And then when we add our vegetables, we want to add the vegetables that take the longest to cook to start out with. So what I would do is drop in my cauliflower and my broccoli around the same time, and throw in the carrots, and then do the squash and zucchini at the last minute, because it doesn't take long for them to cook it all. Then I pull them out the pot, put my shrimp in, and give them a stir fry as well, and top it off. But I'll show you all of that. So, and then our carrots, like I said, we got the carrot chips, but what I want to do is, because they're kind of big pieces, I'm just going to give them just a little chop to make them a little bit more bite-sized. And you don't have to get the carrot chips from the store. You can actually use fresh carrots. You can use grated carrots. The thing about a stir fry is that you're getting so many good vegetables. So if you have vegetables that you don't necessarily care for, you don't have to add it to your stir fry. It's totally up to you. If you have a stir fry with just shrimp and broccoli, or just shrimp and cauliflower, that's really good as well. I would say if you don't necessarily care for onion or ginger, I would still try to incorporate a little bit of it in there, just because, so it will give you that that genuine kind of stir fry flavor. And so I just kind of rough cut those carrots, like I said, so that they'll be a little bit more bite-sized. And then we're going to take our yellow squash. See here? I'm just going to cut it in half. And I may only use half of this, so I just cut it in half. And then I'm just going to give it a nice little slice on it as well. So we cut it in half, and I cut it on a diagonal so that it would have a little bit of shape to it. You don't have to do that, but I just like to do stuff like that. So it's totally up to you. And same thing with our zucchini. We're going to just cut it in half. And I'll probably use half of this as well. And then we're just going to give it a nice diagonal cut. And so our cutting board is here, and it has all of our scraps on it. And believe it or not, some of your scraps that you have left over from everything that we cut up, you can actually throw them in the pot, of boiling water, and you can actually make you a stock. So this would be considered a vegetable stock. If you had meat, you would put meat in it, or chicken, you would have a chicken stock. If you put some kind of seafood in it, you would have a seafood stock. But you can actually make you a vegetable stock, and you would be able to use it later for soup or broth or anything like that with your leftovers. So if you look, I'm gonna sit our pan here so you all can see that we have, take a look, pretty much, I'll do it this way, diced up our vegetables, and we're going to start getting everything in the pot. Now we're getting ready to saute everything. So in our pan, I've added a tablespoon of the sesame oil, and we're going to use sesame oil instead of like olive oil or canola oil. You can definitely use olive oil if you'd like, but sesame oil is traditionally what they use in stir fry. Sesame oil has a really nice nutty flavor to it, so I love it. It gives it a kind of good like nutty flavor in the background. So we've added a tablespoon of our sesame oil, and I'm going to now add the shallots, the peppers, the garlic, and the onion to our pan. We're going to add that to our oil first, because what we want that to do is kind of season our oil. So I'm going to add that to our pan. And if you hear that sizzle, that means our pan is nice and hot. We don't want it too hot. And I'm actually cooking with gas, so I have it turned to low. And I'm going to start out with it low for our onions and peppers and garlic and ginger, all of that. If you notice, got that in there. I wish you all could smell it. It smells really good. And I'm going to give it a nice stir around, because I want all of the vegetables to coat. I want the sesame oil to coat the vegetables. So, and what we want to do is we're just going to let that cook a little bit. And the thing with garlic, you also don't want it to get bitter. And if you cook it too hard, too fast, it gets a bitter taste to it. So that's another reason why I started it on low. So I started it on low to kind of get it going. I'm going to turn it up between low and medium. So I'm not going to medium. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit, because I want it to get the temperature. If you notice, it kind of, you can hear it. It started to sizzle a little bit more. I want the temperature now to start to slowly come up, so that I can add our cauliflower and our broccoli to the pan. And I'm going to go ahead and stir that again. I wish you all can smell it. Like I said, we have all of our pretty vegetables, our garlic, our ginger, our peppers, our shallots. And we put that in a tablespoon of sesame oil. And we've let that start, we let the oil start to get hot. Once it got a little hot, we went ahead and added our vegetables to it. And I'm going to let this go about another minute. And I'll kind of stir it occasionally just to get everything moving around in the pan. If you're not cooking with gas, you can start with it on medium, and then if you once you get ready to put like your broccoli and your cauliflower in, you can go in between medium and high. I would not do it on high. Like I said, you want it to cook, but you don't want it to cook too fast. I know traditionally stir fries cook really fast and really hard, but a lot of times that's done with a wok. And if you have a wok, that's great. But if you're using your regular stove top, I would, like I said, if you have gas, I would start with it low, and I would go from low to medium. And then if you have a electric range or electric cooktop, I would start off with the medium and then maybe go a little bit from medium to high. So everything is looking really, really good. And I'm one of those people that like to have a little bit of texture to my vegetables. So I don't cook them all the way. Or I don't cook them to where they're soft. I cook them to where they're kind of al dente, as they would say, or a little bit crunch to them. So I'm going to start to add the cauliflower and the broccoli to the pan. And cauliflower traditionally has a lot of water in it. So a lot of times if you're doing dishes, I know cauliflower is really popular right now because you can do cauliflower rice, you can do cauliflower macaroni and cheese, you can do just about anything with cauliflower to substitute for carbs or starch or potatoes. So if you're doing a type of dish like that, I would try to get some of the water out of the cauliflower, which means I would roast it first. So as you see, I am mixing our cauliflower and our broccoli in our mix also to make sure that it is coated as well. Everything has a nice sizzle on it. I love it. Sometimes I sing when I'm cooking, so that was what that little harmonize was. And I am actually going to add, so the recipe I said 1 to 2 teaspoons of the tablespoons of the sesame oil. So I'm going to just add a little bit more to it. And because we are cooking, everything's cooking really well, I'm going to go ahead and add our carrots also. And the thing about carrots too, they have a lot of natural sugar in them as well. So once again, I know I keep saying it, but if you're watching your sugar or watching your diet and going low carb, you know, think about some of the foods that we eat that naturally have sugar in them. And a lot of that, like I said, the onions in this dish have sugar. The carrots have sugar. We use sweet peppers. They have sugar, natural sugars. That's why with the honey in this dish, I said honey to taste. I'm just going to add a little bit of honey to it, not a lot. And if you all can see, our veggies are cooking. We have a really nice sizzle on everything. So I am definitely pleased with how it is going. And then next I will add our squash and zucchini. And once I add the squash and zucchini, I will then add the soy sauce to it. And then once I add the soy sauce, I'm going to stir everything around. I'll pull this out of the pot and then I'll add our shrimp. I have not added any salt to this dish. It's up to you if you would like to add salt. I prefer for me to follow a low sodium diet. So like I said, everything naturally has salt in it anyway. So the soy sauce has salt in it. And so I'm not going to add salt to the dish. But if you do have to add salt, I would just add a pinch of salt to the dish. With all these fresh veggies and vegetables, this dish will have a ton of flavor. And I'll like, look at this. I love how that cauliflower has a little bit of brown sear on it. So everything is starting to cook. And once we add our soy sauce to it, it's going to cook a little bit more. So like I said, once again, I don't like to cook my veggies too soft. So I'm going to go ahead and add the squash and zucchini and give that a stir as well. That's our little honey over there. So we have all of our veggies in the pan. I'm going to let that go for about a minute. And then I'm going to add the soy sauce. And when I add the soy sauce, I'm just going to do a squeeze of honey. And I'm going to put that inside of our pan. And then I'm going to saute the shrimp. See everything. Just another look at it. The good part is our veggies are going to have a lot of texture to them. A lot of good bite to it. Everything is just cooking. When I add the soy sauce, it's going to give us a nice little steam effect. You know, a lot of times with cooking, you have to make it fun. A lot of the theatrics that go along with it. Look at our nice cauliflower. We have a nice spear on that one as well. I love it. And with this stir fry, you can serve it over rice. You can serve it over noodles, or you can just eat it plain. So like I said, if you're following the low carb, you can do it plain. You can just do the vegetables and whatever your protein is. If you want to do carbs, I do brown rice. But you can do brown rice or you can do white rice. You can do your rice ahead of time. You can also do noodles as well. I am going to go ahead and add our soy sauce to the pan. Love that steam. So this is the theatrics. I love it. So we want to toss our veggies in the soy sauce. And because we don't want our soy sauce to cook down too much, I'm going to turn it on low. And I'm going to add just a couple of squeezes of honey. So all the honey I'm going to add, just to kind of brighten it up a little bit, give it a little sweetness to it. And I'm going to let this cook down another minute, and then I'm going to add it to our pan and come back and show you all how we're going to saute the shrimp. Okay, so we took our vegetables out the pan and we have just a little bit of olive oil in our pan, and we're going to add our shrimp. And all I've added to the shrimp was a little bit of black pepper. So we're going to add our shrimp to the pan. Once again, we have that nice sizzle, and we're going to stir those around. We know it doesn't take long for shrimp to cook, so we just want to get our shrimp cooked till they turn pink. It's about a couple of minutes. So we're going to let our shrimp cook, and I have the stove set to low again. I always like to start out on low, and one of the reasons, if you start out on low, you don't risk burning something, and you don't risk starting a grease fire or anything like that, oil fire. So if you start out low, you can always turn your temperature up or adjust it if you need to. And when we added our shrimp to the pan, or when we took the vegetables out and added our shrimp to the pan, we didn't clean the pan. Everything that's in there is extra flavor, so we don't want to rinse any of that out. We still have that good seasoning from the sesame oil, as well as the soy sauce and our garlic and our ginger, so we don't want to rinse that out. So we just added our oil to that, and we're going to give our shrimp a stir again. I will tell you all that I am guilty of constantly stirring, so you don't have to stir your food as much. I just like to make sure that everything is cooked evenly. So if you don't stir it as much and you just let it sit, that's fine. Some people like to turn their shrimp, let them get pink on one side and turn them and let them get pink on the other side. So that's something that you can do as well. And you don't want to overcook your shrimp. You just want to make sure that they stay nice and tender. So if you see the shrimp have a little bit of color on them from everything that was in the pan. Turn this one around as well. So a lot of times with shrimp, you're looking about a couple of minutes on each side. And so, like I said, I've turned them. This one looks like it needs to be turned again, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that one again. And I'll be honest with you all, I'll probably give it another stir here. So I'm going to just let it cook a little bit. Turn it up just a little bit more. So we want to get everything cooked. And we're just going to add our shrimp to our stir fry. And I am debating if I want to have this over rice or if I just want to have vegetable and shrimp tonight. We'll see. Like I said, our shrimp are about done. And give them another little flip. Because you can still see, like on the outside, some of them are white and some of them are still kind of translucent or clear. So if they're still a little bit clear looking, they're not ready. So we just want to make sure that we get them all cooked really well. Definitely don't want any raw shrimp or anything like that for ourselves or anybody. So the Stir Master strikes again. Stir these, and I'm going to let these finish cooking, and once they're finished cooking, I'll be able to show you all the finished product. So we have our finished stir fry. I think it turned out really well. We have our shrimp and our squash and our zucchini and our carrots and our broccoli and cauliflower, peppers, shallots, garlic, ginger, soy sauce, sesame oil, and a little bit of honey. It looks amazing. You can add it to rice, or you can add it to noodles, or you can eat it just like this, and you'll have a full meal, and we didn't add any salt to this. And I think if you once you make it, I think if you taste it first before you add salt to it, with the soy sauce as well as just natural sodium from the shrimp, anything that comes from the ocean is going to have a natural salt content to it. I think you won't need any salt, but if you do have to add salt, I would just do a pinch of salt to this. Thank you.